Okay, so right here we got the post fight for Yu Kimura defending his WBC World Light Flyweight title, 108 pounds, versus Ganigan Lopez. Lopez came in as the challenger, and he managed to come in and win a majority decision over the defending champion, Yu Kimura. Kimura, of course, won this world title against Pedro Guevara, who incidentally had defeated Ganigan Lopez not too long before. Yeah, it was only within the last year before that Pedro Guevara had defeated Ganigan Lopez by split decision. Ganigan Lopez defeated Yu Kimura here by majority decision. Did it in Japan actually. So Kimura was the hometown fighter. But personally, I actually think that Ganigan Lopez won this fight way more clearly than the way the judges had it. At least one of the judges anyway. Two of the judges had it very wide for Ganigan Lopez. One of them had it a draw, so that wound up being the majority decision. 114, 114, 118, 110 for Ganigan Lopez, and 119, 109 for Ganigan Lopez. Ganigan Lopez is a pretty slick little boxer, man. He's a pretty tall guy for the weight class. He's a little over 5'5", which for a 108 pounder is on the very tall side. You're probably rarely gonna get guys his height or any taller for that weight class. And actually, he's not even necessarily that big of a guy at 108 either. He doesn't seem to struggle to make the weight. He was 112 a week out from the fight, and I mean he makes the weigh-ins pretty easy in spite of being a tall guy. But he's a very slight of build guy. He's very skinny. Very very lean though. Made the weight well, went in there and did the damn thing. I mean, the way he was able to start off, he was doing good body work. He did a lot of body work from the very beginning. A lot of guys, they tend to neglect body work, especially in the beginning, especially in the very first round as they're trying to measure out an opponent. But he went in there and he was using a good jab too, a good right jab, because he's a southpaw from the southpaw stance. Kimura, of course, is a orthodox fighter. He was looking to try and land the right hand, of course, and that actually wound up being the only punch he was able to really land cleanly with any kind of anything really nearing consistency. He wasn't even consistent at that though. I only wound up giving Kimura one round, which was the second round. He won it actually pretty close too, because Ganigan Lopez made him work for everything that he got in that round. He was constantly throwing to the body very well. He actually even led to the body a lot, because what Lopez did, which was very clever, was he would either feint the right jab to the head or feint a left cross, and then he would throw the left to the body. He would lead with a left to the body out of the southpaw stance. So it was basically like a left cross hook right to the liver. And eventually those shots really began to wear on Kimura. If you pay attention, particularly in the second half of the bout and from the 8th round on, you'll see that Kimura's posture started to slouch over a lot more as the fight wore on, because he was just getting tired from the consistent work that Ganigan Lopez was doing to the body. Especially because Lopez isn't necessarily a lights out puncher, but he punches hard enough. I mean, he's 27-6 with 17 knockouts. He's had one of those kind of tough roads a hoe, like a lot of fighters from Mexico, where he was matched very tough early on, matched very tough throughout his entire career, and he's managed to make an incredible fighter out of himself in spite of some of the earlier losses on his career, and he's developed very technically very well. His style almost is reminiscent of a little bit of a southpaw version of perhaps a tad bit of Ricardo Lopez mixed with like a Christian Mijares, where he's looking to do a lot of inside work. Does a lot of body work though, a lot more body work than either of them. So I guess the body work might be a little bit more akin to like an Ensomo Moreno, where he's digging hard to the body, and otherwise he's landing very clean, accurate pot shots to the dome with both the jab and also with the left cross. And he did a lot of good work where he would throw the right jab, the left cross, and then follow up with the right uppercut, or the left cross, lead with that, then throw a right hook, and then end with the left uppercut. He did a lot of those type of shots, and a lot of 1-2-4s where he would throw the jab, cross, then uppercut. I mean, and it was really beautiful work on Lopez's behalf. And one great thing that he did is whenever he was on the inside, in spite of being the taller guy with the longer reach, he actually did the better inside work, and that's really what helped him dominate this fight. Was the inside work was very clean. He would dig to both sides of the body. He would lead a lot to the body, which is really crazy. You know, the fact that he was able to evade punches coming in and lead to the body shows a lot of skill there. I mean, a very high risk maneuvers, because you know, sometimes guys with fast hands can catch a guy like that coming in, but Kimura wasn't really able to catch him very often at all. The only times he really was able to catch him sometimes was when Lopez would be standing at mid range and he would be able to catch him with the right cross. So really, the way he was able to work it out was just brilliant stuff in terms of the timing. He would do a lot of step backs. He would step back and avoid a lot of Kimura's shots altogether. Kimura would wind up lunging in, and then Lopez would step back in and hit him with clean counters. He was doing a lot of make him miss and make him pay. There's a lot of guys nowadays that with very good defenses that make guys miss, but they don't always make them pay. Ganigan Lopez will make you pay almost every time. And you could see that even when he fought Pedro Guevara, even though he lost that fight by a close split decision. Guevara was the aggressor in that fight, and Lopez was a lot more of a defensive guy. And I think the tie goes to the runner attribute kind of helped Guevara in winning that fight because he was the aggressor. So, you know, he got the points for the effective aggression, so that nodded him just a couple extra rounds that he needed to get the split decision. But otherwise, I mean, Lopez did a great job in that fight. If Lopez and Guevara were to have a rematch, that would probably be one of the best fights that could be made at 108 at this weight class. Otherwise, though, I mean, Lopez is probably going to be a tough opponent for anybody at this weight class or below or above it. If anybody moves up, he's probably one of the toughest fighters to face at 108, aside from maybe Donny Nietes. A unification between Donny Nietes and Ganigan Lopez, or even a fight between Nietes and Guevara would be excellent fights. Those are probably like the three top guys at 108. Of course, there's Akira Higashi there too, but you must remember that Guevara knocked out Higashi last year. He and did it in pretty impressive fashion. Higashi though beat Javier Mendoza in pretty impressive fashion just a couple of months ago though too. So Higashi did pretty well, but I'd say Lopez would probably be favored over almost everybody at this weight class except for maybe Guevara and Nietes. But incidentally, I think he had more to improve upon from that first Guevara fight than Guevara did. And I mean, in spite of the fact that Guevara is relatively inexperienced in comparison to Lopez, Lopez is also a guy that came up the hard way. And so, I mean, just the fact that he knows what it's like to be on the wrong side of decisions, be on the wrong side of losses and everything. I think that's made him tougher and it's made him stronger. He's like a little bit of that Salido or Glenn Johnson type fighter where he, you know, it's like he knows the taste of defeat and he doesn't want to feel it again. And it's like he's going to dig in deep and he's going to make every single round hell for you just by virtue of not only his work rate, but the fact that he's so precise with his punches and he's so skilled. He's very slick. He has a multitude of angles that he could punch from, and he's a very impressive fighter to watch. Like, he's a good fighter to watch, especially for a southpaw. If you want to learn a lot of technical skills, and if you want to learn a lot of technical skills by way of making a guy miss and making him pay immediately, not letting him off the hook at all. Very good skills from Ganigan Lopez, and I definitely look forward to seeing if Lopez winds up rematching Pedro Guevara or whoever else he happens to fight in the future. Maybe possibly even getting a rematch with Denver Cuello, because Denver Cuello's still ranked both at 108 and 105 in several of the sanctioning bodies, including the WBC, which is of course the belt that Ganigan Lopez just won. He's ranked at 108 by the WBC, but he's also ranked at 105 by the IBF. And Cuello was the only guy to actually knock Lopez out a few years ago. He managed to. It was a little bit of a controversial knockout. Caught him. Lopez was outboxing him the first and throughout most of the second round, and Cuello just managed to catch him coming in with a right hook kind of behind the head, but he followed up with a combo, like a 3-punch combo right after that, all clean shots to the dome. And so it's like the ref missed the shot to the back of the head, and the shots, the clean shots to the jaw and the temple were the ones that he saw, and that wound up kind of finishing Lopez off. So it was a bit of an unfortunate situation for Lopez, but obviously he's improved a hell of a lot since then. The defense has gotten way better. He hardly got touched with a clean shot in this fight. And even in the Guevara fight, he came out looking pretty clean. So good stuff from Lopez, and I'm on to the next.